I wouldn't have had the freedom to do what you were doing, be as a play, free, do whatever.
Morning! Hi guys, how you doing? Good, how are you? Good, yeah, lovely, thanks. If you could do me a favour, once you've got settled and put yourself down, if you could have a look at the words on the table and just pick one that resonates with you for some reason. So just have a look through them and just think about, it's going to link to kind of why you chose this session, so it can be quite abstract, just one of those words. Okay, yeah. Okay. Good. I don't know.
Feedback already. That's good. Great, all day.
What was in my mind?
How much I think we've got some cards. Yeah. Let's see how we go. Do you want me to give you that? All of it. All of it? You really can lend me that? And then I'll read it so we can do it. Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you so much.
I didn't get it. You couldn't be changed very well.
You didn't say?
No, I didn't do it. You didn't?
No.
I assume that you just got anything for him without paying you.
Yeah.
So it's really caught up, but you've seen the album.
That's quite far down, isn't it?
I'm not sure who it is, but it's just in
Is he with anybody from work?
I think so. I thought you told me from work. Okay, so delegated.
You got yours?
Almost minus Sandra.
Yeah. This one.
Do something useful. Did you get this group when you got home? Did you send her all the stuff?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
Yeah, loads of stuff.
Yeah, and we... I'm looking weird. And the way it was presented is really nice.
Yeah, that was really sweet. Such a lovely price. I hope to get another place for this year. Don't know any details yet, but I just know that they've got a bit more funding.
Yeah, that's a good plan. You know, I just shoved this. Yeah, remember me, I just put that in. Anyway, I thought I'd get you.
Oh, yeah, Mama!
Well, when we ended up going to Istanbul, I dropped it. We were actually going to go to Germany, wasn't it? Alright, so Germany or Ireland, I don't mind this one. Maybe different people. Okay, that's it.
Can we spread out here?
Plenty of space!
Yeah, good.
Wait, no, yeah, if I have had, then I'll be listening.
You picked words.
I don't see my words.
Have you picked them?
Were you just giving it the eyeballs?
Yeah. I was saying that because once when you got it, it was the other one already. You wanted at least two. So
If you've lost it, that's it now.
It's gone for life. I thought YouTube would, like you said, that YouTube would get the same way. And then that would mean that there would be still one for me.
Yeah, it was likely. We are from the same company.
Where do you work?
Castleberry in Brighton.
Nice.
Yeah, I work at a junior after school club.
Okay. It's, so when you say a Downs Junior After School Club.
Oh, it's called Downs. Oh, it's just the name of the school.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I know, it's misleading because there's those schools, there's like Downs U, Downs Junior, and Downs U is a special needs primary school.
Right.
But it's confusing.
Yeah. So obviously it's like the Downs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's what it's named after.
Yeah.
I never thought of that, but yeah. Good connection there. It has got amazing views over the city. I think maybe that's why.
Whereabouts? It's in Brighton.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Brighton?
Do you know Ditchling Road?
What's it near? Because I've just been there. I don't.
Do you know the level?
Yes.
Yeah, up from the level.
Yeah.
There's a long like hill that goes up called
Yeah.
Dixon Road and it's just up there. There's two big white blocks of flats.
Yeah.
In front of those.
I was there just a couple of weekends ago. Because my friend who went to university in Brighton stayed down that way and lived with her twins in Saltine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I went down to visit them. Pretty
Well, you should be doing it. And that was really funny because you said you were on the level and you went up, and it's funny because you get to the downs when you're going up, but it's like you've been on the level.
Yeah.
You're going up and you've got to the downs, and you said that you've been down.
Yeah, that's right. You go up and go down.
And then you level out.
Yeah.
I think loads of people move down there for uni and then stay on doing that.
Yeah.
Friday.
Oh, excellent. What did you do at uni?
I did development studies, so looking at how developing countries, what different political, economic, historical factors have led to their current status as developing.
That's interesting, isn't it?
But it was like very, left you feeling really cynical about the world and like all international projects.
Yeah, so as well as, so apart from making you feel cynical, did it change your political views on it?
It did. It made me really understand how paternalistic a lot of aid projects are and how they are just like neo-colonialism manifested. So
Yeah.
it's a lot better to like support grassroots projects in developing countries where the local people can actually decide what they spend the money on.
Yeah, but often people don't really think about that sort of thing.
Yeah, they just think that, oh, those countries are backwards, but they're not at all. They've been like really hindered in the past. They've been
And often
exploited. They've been exploited.
Yeah. But they're actually the experts.
Yeah, so it did change my political views, it made me more just aware that we need to like, work locally.
There's I've been to a few meetups, like Restarter projects, and there's this really cool space in right by the river in London. It's a big place with art. In the summer, in the winter they have they have an ice skating. It's an ice skating rink.
Oh, and it's a building.
Yeah.
I've been there, but
Not
I've
much
never-
history.
No, and it's a woman's name.
By the river.
Yeah.
It's a woman.
Yeah. By the embankment.
Yeah. Not fast back.
No, but a bit further down. My mind doesn't think that. But anyway, they used to have like the tax office in there, and they realised it was a complete waste of this really valuable space because actually they could just computerise everything. So when they did that, they made their way through the records. They had all this empty space, so they gave over some of the space to artists and makers. And the rent that they charge people to be in there is like insane. It's like a warehouse space. There's some really interesting projects on. One you remind me of. It's a woman who has gone over to this kind of small village and she supports women in the village to kind of make and create, and then there's a kind of chain of exporting so that and from what they've learned, they then become teachers of, go from village to village so that they have the ability to kind of support their families and bring money into the village.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant because you can really address like gender inequality if you do those like small livelihoods projects,
Yeah.
and then it ends up like the female heads of income, heads of households, which is really great. Good. But I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't for me like going to like UNICEF or a big INGO like Amnesty International. I wanted to work here.
Yeah.
Because like, the salary you get paid for working for those big places, if you come out at degree level, it seems a bit like you're like propping up the inequality going on already.
Yeah, that's a big issue, I suppose, in charities because the higher you get in charity, the salaries are massive.
Yeah, and the more out of touch and disconnected you are. Doing something like that, like a small project, working with women on the ground, is a lot better.
Yeah, I found it very inspirational. So what do you actually do? Is it play work or?
Yeah, I do play work.
Is that both of you?
Sorry. I was like, the both of you that is switched on.
Let's see if I can work out the question. I know I've been sat there for about 20 minutes trying to work out my session, what I wanted to do next.
Yeah.
So yeah. But so you're both play rappers. Excellent. How did you get to play work?
I used to finished my degree in social sciences and started working as a youth worker along with high school things. And then went into teaching for about 2 years and hated it.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you hate about it?
I don't like environment. Did a PE within the schools that I work. I don't agree. It's not what I want to give to children. I don't care really about what they learn, as long as they learn to be confident, nice people. And I didn't find that I was given the time to give to that. So which is why I like play work really. I feel like that's more, children need freedom, don't they? They feel resilience and all those things. That's maybe I'm starting there again actually. I didn't do early years in my training, and I'm back. I feel like I'm coming back to that a bit more. Then I've been working as supervisor at this for the last year and a half or something. Training for a school teacher, which feels way more like, this is where I need to be.
That really resonates with me. I thought about going to teaching. Really similarly, I don't care about the curriculum outside. Really?
Yeah.
I just think it would be massively frustrating.
TA work is so much about discipline, and I was doing it one-to-one with a boy with challenging behaviour, and I just felt like it was the last thing he needed was for me to be firm with him. He just needed to settle in and make some friends.
Yeah.
But they feel like, no, you have to keep him away from these children, you have to keep him away from that child. And I was like, no, I'm not going to alienate him and isolate this 7-year-old boy at a playtime. Surely this cannot be what my job is.
Seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's a really common story of that the kind of forcing the struggle, like the kind of face on, getting children to that kind of real thoughtfulness instead of being able to allow let.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is a really common thing. Teaching assistants who I know. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, because I feel like they're just like amplifying their fire every time you tell them off.
I mean, there is an argument that says that's what the school system actually does, washes out kids really quickly.
I remember when I try and remember my school days, I can barely remember any of it. I spent so much of it in what's in the class.
Ridiculous. So,
there's a massive problem now because we haven't got enough teachers. Teachers are leaving the profession, and it's because we feel like this. It's like, hang on a minute, this isn't why I came in to teaching.
I went to teaching, and then we used to training because they're not allowed to use the worksheets, so they've got to write the syllabus and exactly what the school's saying and not use their own imagination to do.
Some schools got it really spot on, but
It's a big way you were saying as well about not going back to early years. That when you're doing teacher training, you don't get anything in child development or anything, do you?
Play, I never even, in my whole piece, it's only a year, but play never came up once, playtime never came up once, When I was teaching, I barely went outside to play, it's like, the time when we're actually really getting to see people as individuals, not just having to go by our rules and regulations. We don't even spend time with them.
as if it's irrelevant.
Yeah, completely.
I had a play work student who's gone on to, she was actually doing teaching at the same time, she was doing teacher training, and she had to do a presentation in front of the rest of the class, and she did it on playtime. And she's just like, wow, this is great, this is amazing, blah. Do some words. And then the person in charge was full marks sort of thing, because everybody was so engrossed in it. And the next time she did the play cycle for them, and they were like, oh wow, this is good. So she was saying, I'm chipping away at the teacher profession.
I did a play training, because we work with a school quite closely, we do their after school club, and some of the teachers came and joined in, and they were so into it. We had to put in play cycle and play memories and stuff, and their reaction was like, yes.
I think this thing tomorrow, whatever it's called, at 2:30, when the politicians come in. Instead of, you know that you were instead of what, on top of what Ali and Kate were doing just now, when you've got to write all your bits and pieces down and safely agree and everything, is that it might introduce a bit of play and play work to begin with, so they know what it is. Because this thing, you're speaking about well-being and things like that, and in Scotland we've got the Children and Young People Act has just come out, and there's not a mention of play in it at all.
I hadn't heard about that.
That's quite a surprise.
Yeah, so you say to the children's minister, so you go to different places, is there anything, yes, you don't have play in this, and we'd already, when we were consulted, play was everywhere, sort of thing. Yeah, no, but it's inherent in it, it's under well-being. So if that's what we think, well-being equals play. Might be part of it, but it's not. It's not mentioned, so we put under the carpet.
I think that's the danger is if you don't explicitly mention it, then it just gets forgotten about.
Yeah.
And like in schools, if it's not part of the curriculum, if you're not forced to address it, then you're going to spend your energy doing something that you're going to be tested on, marked on, paid for. So it's just, I think like play workers, there's quite a lot of talk at the moment about how in children and young people now, play work I think in the last 2 or 3 years has been mentioned 7 or 8 times. Like it's just disappearing from conversation and from language. So I find that really, where Wales have just done so well with their kind of explicit recognition of how important play work is. So for Scotland to do that seems kind of ridiculous. I thought that Scotland was quite progressive.
Yeah,
certainly with their children's rights stuff. When I look into that.
And there's quite a lot of people that they've got the Scottish Play Strategy and policy and things in place, and so there's the Scottish Play Council, and the government are funding bits for Play Scotland to do this, that, and the next thing. They've got integrated groups coming up, but they're still managing to put the and they've got every year's collaboratives in each council as well. And the reason that some people aren't here today is there's a Scottish get-together of play is actually getting put into the early years collaborative. So it might move in the next time that there's amendments or something done to the bill that it might be added into.
Should we then start? Okay. So, thanks for picking a word, and thank you very much for coming. It's going to be obviously a smaller group, but we'll try to still get everything covered so you get as much out of it as possible. Just so that we can all remember each other's names, I wanted to learn a bit about what you want to get out of this session and find out who you are. So I'm going to start. So I'm Laura, and I've been in play work for 13 years, but currently my job title is Youth Programme Manager. So I work in central London within a young people's team. So we have children from 6 months all the way now up to 24. So it's been 2 years since I've been managing a youth programme, as you know, and I really struggled with it at the beginning because it seemed so different, and I wasn't really comfortable losing the play work element of what I do. I'm quite a bit more comfortable with it now, actually, because I think that it's inherent in everything I do, my approach to everything, so I'm a bit more comfortable. My word is creativity, because I found since managing staff, I really believe reflective practice is important, being able to kind of be relaxed enough to think about what it is that's happened and how you feel about it and what it means to you. And I found that the creative approach for me is the most effective. So that's me. So I'm going to throw this at you. Try that again. Yeah. So if you could keep hold of, when you've done your bit, keep hold of the keep hold of it and then throw it on.
Okay, my name is Mignon, and I moved from Essex to Brighton about 5 years ago, finished my degree and then wanted to become a play worker. So I did a course with Brighton Hove City Council, Time to Play holiday training, and volunteered on the play bus at the level on Saturdays, which was really great. And then I started working as a play worker for Class of Their Own, began the MVQ level 2 and 3 in play work, which I really enjoyed, but doing that with the Moorhead Centre based in Lewes. And that's really great. And yeah, I really wanted to come because reflective practice is really important. It's really affirming, and it's really good because it gives you loads of ideas on how to improve what you're doing and how to relate to the children and the other members of staff. And yeah, just to make sure that what we do is meaningful. Yeah, and I really love play work. It's so nice just to see the children enjoying themselves, being free. Like, that's the most important thing. But what they do is self-directed, not constantly being bossed around by adults.
Brilliant. And what are you hoping to get out of the session today? Maybe what was your word?
My word was playfulness. And I picked it because I read a really nice quote the other day which said that playfulness is not an activity, it's an approach to action.
Awesome. Thanks for
Right, what was what am I going to do? Okay,
what's your name?
My name's Bella, I'm from Brighton, you know that already. And I guess I've picked other ways of doing things with my word because I feel that I am not getting the time for reflection in my work. The sessions that I work in, there's 50 children, 6 adults between 3:15 and 6 o'clock, and it's go to the very last minute at 6 o'clock, and where we all have to leave the building. I don't get any time for reflection with the team. Although we have a team meeting once a week, I feel that I'm missing that session reflection, and I'm not. And I suppose I want to see if I can come up with some ingenious way of trying to squeeze it in somehow. And kind of make it part of my routine, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not really sure how.
Yeah.
Have
a think about it together.
Yeah. Without the time, I'm kind of like, you need the time for it. Yeah, but maybe not.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like such a luxury that you can't afford, but actually can afford not to.
Oh, that's how I feel a bit. But
Yeah. So sorry, what was your name?
It's Bella.
Bella. Thanks, Bella. Okay. Cheers.
Right.
Thank you. My name's Joan and I live on the Black Isle, north of Inverness. What do you do? I've been in play work, I think, since 1990. The first year in direct, and then went up to Leeds and did the first year of the degree course, and we did there, it was sort of tied in. And then we went into teacher training, further ed training. We did PGC in Bolton for nursery nurses, because originally I was a nursery nurse, so that was when I left the institution. It seems like forever ago, but I think when we were doing that, we had play work approach at that time as well, because I haven't actually changed the way that I do things with children now as I did then.
You haven't.
I just do the same thing, and I think it's relationships that's the main thing, or your own philosophy, and if you're with a good team, then you've got like-minded people, and you're away. Because sometimes when you say it's in the nursery school, and it's all dictatorial and stuff like that. I worked in a nursery school, and nobody was fun and laugh, and we were outdoors and doing things, and the kids were making decisions on what they wanted to do, and they'd say they wanted to do something, so we were off and doing it, and that was in the 70s. So I think when you changed the different courses and brought in different things, and the different respectful things that you have with the hierarchy, and the way that the educators did seem to know better, whereas now you're scared to take on politicians. You need to do this, and it's changed the way that where funding is and things like that. You used to see these kinds of things that's really important. And lots of people wanted to do it at that time, so I think when we got on the course, there was 300 people. That was in Dundee. There was 300 people applied for it. But it was only 360 places. And so I don't know where that went either. So the schools now say, yeah, you can do either chapel or hairdressing. You can't learn anything else. You know, you're not fitting into our system. You're not going to do something else. Anyway, so I've been involved in it. And what I do, I do volunteer work for RSTB just now in Belfast Explorers Group. So it's one Saturday every month, and it's one Saturday in the sticks. So I just come down here. I didn't have to. I just booked the flight before I actually started doing the work for them. But I have done that. I'm learning loads about wildlife and also that. But they're also strict on the lesson plans, teaching plans, and I can't just go in and say we need to be changed it when they've been doing this for years and that's their way. Maybe I need to get out. But one of the girls that does it lives on the Black Island, and she was saying that she likes the sound of the playwork approach and she wants to change it. She's great. They are with the top person.
Yeah, that's often the way to do it, isn't it? That you kind of sidle up to the issue and influence just by advocating it. You know, I mean, it's a whole other topic, but so changing things from the inside.
And I'd be among friends. If I was with Laura, because we went to East Anglia and went to study together.
Yes, fabulous time.
I knew that whoever else was here would all be friends.
Laura
would make you welcome.
Joan, thank you. Joan, give that back to me.
Can I hold it?
Keep hold of your bit. Okay. So this is basically to illustrate, you know, the connectedness between people. You know, a lot of the policy and legislation, a lot of the kind of unspoken stuff currently is about the responsibility of the individual. And where I'm not saying that individually we're not responsible, there is so much more going on than you in isolation. And so they're kind of, you know, that you're talking about your team and not having time to reflect with your team. I think there's really something very important about that. You know, when do you make time for those conversations? Because you, as a practitioner, never operate in isolation. It's always in response to a moment that comes and goes and is never going to be recreated. So where you make time to reflect, it's important to recognise that you operate in response to children, the day, the mood, cycles of the moon, whatever it is. So that's why you're holding the string. Back there. Yes.
Oh.
Thank you.
Quite nice to connect. Must be getting low.
Cool. So I'm getting the sense that you are kind of advocates of reflective practice, and my idea for this session is that you will get some practical, like an opportunity to have a little talk about some of the theory that's available and how realistic it is, look at what's necessary in your own settings, and have an opportunity to try out some things for yourself that are a bit different, a bit more creative. So, I wanted you to have a bit of a chat about kind of what the you know, in your settings, how do they think about reflective practice? And I was going to split you into groups because there's only 4 of us here. You know, we just have a group conversation, and it'd be interesting to see, because you two are from the same setting, whether you actually have the same impression of what the general feeling in the setting is about it.
We're from different settings,
you
but
are?
the same company. It's like
Right.
an umbrella company, and there's 14 different after-school clubs. So me and Bella have worked together in the same setting, but we're in different clubs.
Yeah, which is good though, because it's different perspectives from,
Cool.
yeah.
Can I ask you?
But we could talk about the atmosphere in the company.
Yeah. Can I ask you then to grab some post-its and just you know, I've got some pens to be working on. So what do you feel the organisation feels about reflective practice? How does it value it? Anyone?
Just out loud.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm thinking, I suppose we do get, we have to supervise a team meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think maybe we don't always talk about the things that the supervisors want to talk about. I think, and even in my team meetings I lead, I think that can be a bit like I am giving information, it's not a lot, there's not as much two-way as I would like. And I think that's in individual clubs and potentially overall.
How about for the one-way traffic in the training centre? Do they all, your other staff, do they all got qualifications in favour as well?
I think that makes a huge difference,
Yeah.
because you understand what each other are talking about. You can be like, oh yeah, playwright principle number 8, like.
Yeah.
It's a frame of reference, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it really makes sense, and it's kind of nice because like playwrights are all about making judgments, and I think you said earlier, and then you can kind of be like, say my assistant supervisor's like, oh yeah, you're not doing this, and I was like, yeah, but I am upholding this, so like judgments, and it's quite nice, like there's always something to think about. Like I think it is important that everyone is trained and has to work from the same frame of reference. Like makes reflection a lot easier.
Yeah.
Mm.
So within your team, do you have reflection in team meetings?
We do. We have a debrief at the end of every session.
That's
Yeah, from
amazing.
from 6 to 10 past 6. So
I have that? Yeah, I don't know why I don't have that.
our supervisor will go around. She'll be like,
minutes, but
she'll be like, how did you find today? So we each have a chance to speak. And that's usually quite nice, but sometimes the question's only directed at like 1 or 2 people, and then it's kind of like, the time's ticking on, we should get out. But other times we all have something to say, and it goes around quite nicely. So I think one way is that I know that the last supervisor used to get each playwright to take it in turn to lead the debrief.
Yeah.
So I think that would keep it fresh. That's always nice, because we always try and stay positive or just unload on the day, like say if we had some challenging behaviour or if we thought something new resource worked particularly well. It is really good at the end of the day.
Yeah. So if your supervisor is questioning you about how you felt sort of individually within the team, questioning you about kind of your impressions of the day, how is that worded? I'm trying to guess at kind of what is actually happening.
She says, how did you find today? And then we just get to answer freely on what we thought about it.
Do you think everybody feels relaxed in that 5 minutes, 10 minutes that you've got?
Usually, I think we do. I think because we all know each other, we're quite comfortable. We can like share our feelings like quite openly. So yeah, I think it is quite a relaxed thing. It's nice as well because we can like laugh together and things like that. It's good.
Lovely. I bet you don't have anything like that.
Not really. No, I mean we have a weekly team meeting where sort of individual children might come up, but I think sometimes you have to kind of, I don't know, reflection. I'm like, what is reflection really? What is that? Is it just my feelings, or is it really, picking out what's happened and what have we really seen, or what is, what are we putting onto it? And I guess I want to try and work that out a little bit. And feelings are really important, obviously, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure what I want from it, or what I need from it, or what the kids need from it more. How can it benefit the children? So we have an hour team meeting, which could be a time. We don't have any time afterwards, so and that's kind of the time that you want it really, but when it's fresh in your head.
Sorry, it's usually your own time that you're doing it.
We get paid for the extra 10 minutes. So class finishes at 6 and then we put 10 past 6 on our timesheet.
That makes quite a bit of a difference, doesn't it? So I would say that you want.
If it's the same organisation, really.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think my job's difficult in lots of ways. That's one of them, because the caretaker
Yeah.
only gets paid till 6 and they won't extend, so it's a limitation of the environment.
Yeah, so the structure of your organisation, like the management structure, necessitates that it can't really happen because you can't expect, for seemingly no reason for people to give up their own time in their job. What it's explicitly saying is we don't really value that.
Yeah.
You could easily explain that away in terms of there's not money in the budget. However, it's always a decision. There are always choices that are made. So I find that really interesting that your setting really values it clearly and thinks it's important to have some kind of reflection there, whereas for you that's not.
I'm just thinking now as well, we do have setup time at the beginning. I mean,
Right.
I guess for me it's a bit like problem solving now. How can I get this in? Because
Yeah.
there's got to be, I do think it's important, but how can I get it in? I don't know. How
Yeah.
much time do you have before your sessions is set up?
We usually have 20-25 minutes before we
Yeah, I
need to go
think-
and do the pick up and things.
So what time do you start work? Sorry, so this is a bit like...
Yeah.
So what time do you actually start? 1:45?
22.
So you get a whole half an hour more than me to do stuff. Oh no, you don't need it, 22. You get 15
The last
minutes
club,
more
the
a
last
day.
club I worked at, we had 10 minutes and the same number of children, like 40 children.
Yeah.
So it was like massive luxury to go to a club where it's half an hour to set up.
Yeah.
But I really agree with you, it's all about relationships. And I
Yeah.
think time can sometimes put a bit of constraint and pressure on that. But if you just have the time to develop the relationships amongst team
Yeah.
members, and then you can reflect on the children's relationships and what we can do to support them.
Because that's what we're trying to do in this it's called West as well as Explorers and stuff like that. But we only meet once a month, and we're all very age ranges. Some are still at school, and there's two of us that are the same age, should
Yeah.
be retired, and we're just doing it. So it's about 6 adults and young people that are just meeting once. But they do tend to have like the lesson plan, session plan. It's quite a new team as well, and at the end of the session, the person in charge, how did you feel about that then? And it's not to relax like you, we're all like rabbits in the head, even though, because I'm like, that was such a structure for me, and that was this for me, and you're just standing there waiting to go, and it's like, please don't ask me, I'll tell you, you won't like it. So having a little discussion on the way home with the other person is much easier, because you've got about half an hour in the car where you're chatting, and she tells the other one what's been said as well.
Oh yeah, no, if I'm honest, actually, sometimes we are just a bit like, oh God, like, don't actually want to say anything in the debrief, and then we go outside for a cigarette and we have a like more open chat about it. But that is because we've just had the debrief, so it's related, but...
I think it's a difficult thing to do, reflection as well, isn't it?
The metaphor that it gives you, it suggests that it's just a clear representation of what happened. So it needs to reflect back a static image. If I reflect this chair, it's just the chair, and that is an objective view. It's not massively useful as a metaphor. So if we think about, like, you're talking about what is actually happening there, there's an argument that having your supervisor ask you, how was the day? Is a bit kind of like, right. So there are all sorts of connotations about my own performance, about the team's performance. You have to feel comfortable enough in that situation to bring up something that might not be comfortable for other people. And it's great that you've got that 10 minutes. But how deep can you actually go in those 10 minutes? If you brought up something that was a kind of big issue for you, I wonder kind of how that would be taken. And, a mirror image of something as complex as the relationships between children, your relationship with your practice, all of that stuff, that's something that's quite complex and probably needs, some attention that you're not going to get in that 10 minutes. So it sounds like there's a mixed feeling in terms of how what your approach to it is and how your setting kind of allows you to do that. I just made a really small presentation that is going to be very difficult to see, but just about the theories that are kind of around, because obviously it means theories just give us an opportunity to kind of think a bit more deeply about concepts. So, we can talk about these as we go through. Has anybody kind of looked at any reflective practice theory before?
No, I only need to, so this is good.
Okay, cool. So, one that's very, very popular is Kolb's reflective cycle. So,
Cold.
yeah, Kolb. Cool. Alright, so this is what we call sort of single loop learning. Basically, it's concrete experience, so it's the actual doing of something. So you have an experience at work, and then you reflect on it. So you think about it, you notice the events, what happened, it's the kind of the mechanics of who did what in that situation. And then abstract conceptualization. So applying theory. It's not having ideas. It's thinking about it in relation to into kind of more abstract thinking. And then once you've had a chance to think about it and sort of look at it from a few different angles, trying it differently, doing it again, applying what you thought. Can you see any sort of any way that would be useful to you, or that you could apply it, or any issues with it?
Yeah, it's reminding me we have actually covered some reflective theory in the MVQ.
Okay.
I just forgot about it because I was like, got stuck halfway around the loop and I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave that.
PW10, that's what we call it. It's on the site for that.
Because you're an assessor as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but this isn't the only way of thinking about it. Right, so. I'll go back to there we go. Right. So Sean starts to look at things a little bit in more of a complex way. So taking it from the single loop into more of a double loop. So there's reflecting on action, which is where after your session you're having a chat about what happened, thinking it through, you might be writing about it, discussing it with colleagues, but then he starts to talk about how you can reflect while you're actually doing stuff. So thinking ahead, critically responding in the moment. So it's about applying the reflection that you've done, not just to regulate and do things differently, but sort of it affects the way that you think about things. So it will help you to maybe take a step out of what's happening in that moment and reflect on your own feelings as well as the action while it's going on. Experiencing, analysing your feelings, analysing a little bit deeper. So another word for that is reflexivity. So rather than reflecting is the idea that everything happens outside of yourself and you can look at it and see what it looks like, observe it from the outside. Reflexivity is more of an action-orientated concept, so that you are involved in experiencing what's happening. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Reflective journal.
Yeah.
Have you used reflective journal?
Yeah.
I know that one of my friends did an assessment and say what to do that. One of the first students was going to say what that was for. she was sort of, she was to keep a journal and to reflect every day on what she did. And she did. And then they all kept diary, everything you think about, how you're feeling, what's happening at the club, your personal life, anything. Just write anything you like. And I found it difficult to bring up the lines, and we just went off on tangents you were right. And then they used it further down the line, always used it. They were thinking of feeling on this day, and how you've come since then by doing the training and what you said, and you stood up for yourself in a situation, and you were getting more confident in yourself as well in your work. Because by writing it all down, you are reflecting on it, and found it really useful. And she got a job in this organisation I was working for last year. As an area manager there, and then she didn't like the job, which is why I ended up getting a job to go in the shop. She kept a reflective diary, even when she was moved on from her training, all the way through. She kept a reflective journal, and brilliant.
But you start to be able to see patterns and things, so you could look back and see then if there have been repeated incidents, if your feelings on certain days, you're able then to, you've got something to work with that you can make meaning from. Because in the moment, the memory is an interesting thing. It's not, we'll talk about that a little bit later as well, that it's not, it's not like a file of pictures that you take out. You're constantly recreating parts and remember things. If you get an opportunity to read exactly how you were feeling and meaning starts to come from it. So when, just after this bit, we'll look a little bit at reflective writing, and I'd like to have a go at that, if that's okay. There's a method of kind of free-fall writing, where you spend 6 minutes just getting everything out, and you don't analyse it, you don't have to show it to anybody, you just try to kind of get everything that you're thinking, that's in your mind, that comes up, out. And the idea is it's like a stopper for your sort of creativity, and then what you do afterwards will just be a lot less sort of clogged up in a way. So we'll have a go at that. So yeah, give.
This is the one.
Is it? There's just different ways of looking at it. So this separates out the different elements of what's going on. So you describe the factual events as you remember them, as objectively as possible, and then write about your feelings about those things, evaluate it based on the information that you've got, try and analyse that, draw some conclusions, write an action plan as to how you're going to move stuff forward. It's quite a good method if you've got problematic incidents at work, things that kind of are a bit intractable that you can't deal with that easily.
Yeah, where you really have to evaluate whether you did the right thing or not, whether your impact was positive or negative. Because when you're caught up in the moment, you can sometimes look back and you can be like, oh, I should have done that, or I should have done that differently. So it's really hard to move on to the analysis. But I guess then you can go to Cobb and you can be like, oh, I should do it differently.
They're all just techniques. I wanted to kind of highlight a little bit that, in my experience, reflective practice is something that can sometimes cause quite a bit of stress to people. That a particular member of staff who's come from sort of uniformed organisations where she's always had to cover her arse. And so for me, to try to have these conversations with her where I'm trying to get her to just notice what's happened.
Give it up.
She's completely afraid that I'm going to kind of come down on her and use it to tell her that she's wrong.
Hello! We can start writing something on the flip chart. You're
starting at, it's absolutely right, but would it be okay if you did it in there? Okay. Do you want me to put it in?
No, it's right. I'll come in and find it.
Let's
It's finishing time.
No, we're finishing our past.
No.
Oh, I'm totally... That's okay, and you're good too.
Thank you.
No problem.
There we go.
So there's the whole But I'm not massively surprised about that because if you think about it, you know, it is a technique of self-regulation, self-management, and essentially to be able to kind of free yourself from that is something that takes some work. Obviously, this is just my perspective. So, I mean, Marx recommends a relentless criticism of all existing conditions. So, relentless in the sense that the criticism is not afraid of its own findings, and just as little afraid of conflict with the powers that be. So, in a situation where you are trying to really get at the nub of what's going on, you need to feel liberated in that moment. You need to feel not afraid, basically. So how we create those conditions for creativity is where I'm interested. That's the area that really gets me, because this kind of quality control that people find quite stressful. But actually, who are we judging that against? You know, whose outcomes are we measuring ourselves against? And when are you good enough? But my approach to reflective practice within my team, and I'm still soldiering on trying to get it to, you know, to be believed, is that your good enough is the axis between your willingness to look at it, your willingness to actually spend time thinking about it and being honest with yourself, and how you've taken on board the available information. Because, like I say, any of those moments that happen at work are unique. So I kind of struggle with the idea that we can action plan to do better when every single incident is completely unique, and you and the children you work with are never the same from day to day. So in that, there's a kind of a liberation, because getting away from the linear model that it expects you to always know what's going to happen and what the outcome is going to be sort of sets people up to fail. So I wanted to have a little go. I know we don't really have a massive amount of time, and it's not that private in here, but I wanted to have a look at metaphor and narrative, because it's a major way that we make sense of what's going on in the world. You know, we story and we re-story ourselves. There's an argument to say that there is no objective fact at all, that we make our lives by creating the narrative of it. So so what I like the idea of it is it can help us to sidle up the meaning and access images that were otherwise unreachable. Because the Cartesian dualism, so Descartes says, I think therefore I am. But where that separates our mind from our body, doesn't allow for the idea that our senses are important, our subjective self. And I argue that it is. It's massively important, because really that's all there is. So, you know, being as we work with play, we should be able to playfully approach our practice. So, as practitioners, if we're allowed to playfully experiment with words and doodle with metaphors, we can get to the absent-minded aha moments. That's the kind of premise that this is based on. So, I wanted to do, which I think we've got plenty of time for, a 6-minute free writing, and then try to kind of conceptualise yourself and your work by using kind of bit of metaphor. That's okay? Okay. So what I just want you to do is, and there'll be chocolates at the end of this, you just take a piece of paper that you like the look of, and you can use one of my pens or your own pen, just have something to lean on, and bring it to you. And one you like the look of. Got it? Yeah. So the idea of free-fall writing is that it's... Yeah, go for it. So it's a gift to yourself. So before you start writing, just 2 feet on the floor, and just try to find some stillness in yourself. So, just get it centered, and as your pen hits the page, you're just going to think about trying to access what's inside. Just whatever thoughts are conjured up, let them come out on the page. Don't censor yourself. Try not to reread as you go along. And just to reiterate, you don't have to show this to anybody. And I'm going to time you for 6 minutes, so I'll let you know when to stop.
Anything
Anything that comes into your head. Doesn't matter if you pause, it doesn't matter if you repeat yourself. Just whatever thoughts are in your head. And you start whenever you're ready. Is this free fall? Free fall. The idea is you're falling. Yeah. Free falling. Are we truly after a coffee? She's going off reception and she showed some of those bar clothes. Oh, right, okay. Just come this way with me. Just finishing off.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to reread it right now, but just let it be. So the next thing we're going to do is try to think of as many binary pairs as we possibly can. So black, white, handsome, wrestle, dark and light. You can do that as a group, or you can just jot down the images you can think of. Which would you prefer?
Yin and yang.
Yes.
Right and wrong.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah, left and right. Top head.
Naughty and
down.
nice.
Inside, outside.
Yin yang. Boy girl. Inside. Outside. Have I missed any out that you said?
Yeah, but don't worry.
Doing more?
We'll get more.
Away go for it. Away to sleep.
Love hate.
Any more?
Life and death.
Life and death. More.
Living hard.
Yep.
Reality and what's the other one?
Right and wrong.
Fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, right and wrong.
Left and right.
Black and white.
Good and bad.
Young and old.
Okay.
Sweet and sour.
Sweet and sour.
Maybe.
The idea. I started it late. The
That's a
idea.
trick.
No, I had to find where the coffee was. So I started late. I want you to playfully work out with one of those binary pairs, you and your practice. So pick one of those binary pairs that you feel that you could work up creatively, that is you and your practice, and just have a go. Again, you're not going to have to share this if you don't want to, but pick one of those and have a, you can grab another bit of paper if you want. Just write for a couple of minutes about you and yourself. Sorry, you, not yourself, you and your practice. So it's almost like a caricaturizing, a kind of a starting to do a bit of storytelling between you and what you do at work. Pick a card, any card.
So, I'm not sure, it's quite understand actually. So, let's say I picked yin and yang.
Yeah.
So then I'm yin and my practice is yang.
It doesn't have to be, it can be either way round.
Okay.
Just whatever makes sense to
Sorry.
you. Hello, you're right. We're actually just finishing off the session that finishes
Oh.
at 1:30.
I'm sorry, I
No,
thought we were
that's
just
okay.
like ahead of the game.
Yeah, you are super ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So, for instance, so I am night, and my practice is day. When I'm dark and silent, I go to work and it's all bright and blah blah blah.
This is hard.
Pick young and old. because sometimes you can kind of feel like if you're evaluating yourself, you're stuck in the middle and don't know. But if you have a binary to relate to, that's nice. That helps clear your thoughts.
Keeps it a bit away from yourself.
Yeah, that's right. I really enjoy doing that. Because you always are picking up a story of these two different things when you're supposed to be one, but you're obviously reflecting on what you're doing or done when you're doing it. One of you's you and one of you. I like ours really when I'm at work.
Did it get easier? I know you said you found
No, I
it
found it really
difficult.
difficult. I found it difficult to work out, to divide the two actually.
Yeah.
And that's quite hard. But now I think I've done it the wrong way round. It's very, that's interesting for me actually.
Yeah.
To discover that. I'm like, oh god.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's something that is interesting that you maybe, well, it's got to be, it's your own meaning.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you going for it because it's not something that necessarily is comfortable or comes naturally. So, but I grabbed this from, if you're interested in following up a method and kind of, I would really recommend this book, Julie Bolton. I really love the way that she comes from, she talks a lot actually about practitioners that work with people who are not necessarily from play work, like nurses, childcare assistants, that's, it's quite broad. But I really like the way that she writes, so if you want to kind of follow up, I would recommend that. But the concept is that metaphors are bridges between past and present, allowing us to find something familiar because we've made it strange. Sometimes you're too close to what you do every day to actually get right in there because you don't notice the edges of it. It's all that there is. Like the developmental stage that children go through where the world is just the world. They don't see it kind of separate from themselves. So yeah, effective memories are enclosed but evoked by metaphorical correspondence with yourself. I quite like that idea that you can have a conversation and dialogue within yourself as well. So other techniques to problematize, which my computer tells me is not a real word, but I believe it is, reality, to get at that. So after your 6-minute writing, and it's a kind of, it's a technique to kind of, unplug that muckiness from your mind. You could try doing ode to an object, so pick an object that you see around, write a little poem to it, writing as the other person. I tried this before where I was really upset by something at work that my manager did, and I did this exercise where I wrote about it from his point of view. Quite interesting how it sort of took me out of my own feelings about the thing. Caricature. So it was the same situation. So the person that you're having a problem with, see them as a caricature and write about their physicality, their approach to things. It can again help to kind of lighten things and help you see it from a different point of view. The binary pairs, parody poetry, they're all kind of things that you can do to try to approach things from a different angle.
You could go through all those. How about the time?
Yes,
Yeah, really nice idea.
So it was meant to be an hour and a half session, so what we would have gone on to next is learning journals and life worlds, because it's really juicy stuff when you start to look at how your self-knowledge and sort of self-therapeutic inquiry can help you to look at where you're interacting with the young people that you work with. So if you're interested, Life Worlds is a technique where you try to give yourself that form of therapeutic self-knowledge. The idea basically is that you, on Post-it, you think about the significant incidents from your past. The juiciest ones tend to be from about 10 years ago, so you're talking about when you were younger. I don't know why that is, but it just tends to be it's about process.
In the memory and
Yeah.
Right.
So, but you don't write the words on a Post-it, you draw a little symbol. It's quite comforting because nobody would know what you're talking about. It's a symbol that represents that. And then on a sheet of paper, you have concentric circles. Okay? So the closer to the centre, the more importance you give that. So what you would do is then have all your pictures, however many you've picked out, and you have to place them in the different circles. And you can move them around, the point of being on Post-it. And then you start to get this map of important things to you. What's really powerful if you do it in a group is then describing that to other people and see what comes up for you. But you might then start to see a pattern, like in your learning journal. It's about looking at common themes and patterns. So if you ever get an opportunity to try that, it's really quite amazing actually.
I'm not doing this longer. It'd be good to do.
So then I just put up a bit of information there about learning journals, and it resonates with Winnicott's idea of that transitional space that that you have with the children, but that actually you can create that for yourself. We don't stop moving that just because we're over 18. There's actually always stuff that is not necessarily that easy to work with.
Cool.
So could you please do me a favour?
Yeah.
I tried to make this as painless as possible. Just pop some thoughts on there for me. And thank you very, very much for bearing with me.
Yeah, I was in Stalybrook room.
Thank you. I hope you found it useful.
Yeah, it did. It's really good.
Please help yourself.
I'm on the run to another.
Okay.
Are you going to go to the... See if I can catch that bit of Okay, I'll come with you. Sorry to run off.
That's okay. Thanks a lot, Bella.
Thank you, it's you.
Thank you.
And then we'll see you guys. Oh, see you guys later.
Yeah. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, it's
Good. 5 seconds good.
Bella, I'm coming.
Yeah, don't forget that.
I'm going to my writing.
It's really uncomfortable.
True. No one is here,
See you later. Bye. See you later. was quite fun in the end.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks, Colin Jones.
Thanks for having me. I never got through it out.
That is